Hello, everyone. Welcome to the May 2025 koha-US Cataloging Special Interest Group. And yes, I'm retired. I'm here as a volunteer, so I'm going to be even more full of opinions. Like open source rules. Koha's my favorite system. No, really.
Yep, you need to
The
run for co-US president.
ah!
Everyone agrees, raise your hand.
Well, we're going to be doing a little bit of travel. So not making any commitments right now, not ruling things out, but not making commitments. Um, and in fact, I'm gonna be like turning my camera off in a half an hour because I have to check in. We're gonna go to Palm Springs. I'm so glad this is in the recording because everyone out there wants to know. To visit my father-in-law for over the weekend. He's gonna be turning 98 on Saturday. So yeah, big happy birthday to Dad. Um, the only bit of cataloging news that I noticed that's out there, I'm going to put the link in the chat, is that the open rules for cataloging, draft rules for edition are out there, and they're selecting or they're asking for comments from the open cataloging rules community. So check them out. I think the open cataloging rules are really, really, really cool. So does anybody have anything they'd like to bring to the group?
Well, at some point during the meeting, could you explain what open cataloging rules are and what they're doing? And this, I am but a simple techie. Haven't heard of them yet.
So I'm not super active in the open cataloging rules, or I'm sorry, I'm not saying it right. The open rules for cataloging, ORC. Uh,
Uh,
fantasy fans will find ORC easy to remember. The open rules for cataloging is a relatively new um, effort. They are licensed under Creative Commons. And I'll put a link in the chat to their homepage and then their welcome page. There's the homepage, and this is the welcome page with a wonderful introduction. And since I'm now retired and I can be all full of opinions, I think they they got the I mean, the impetus is there to have some open source cataloging rules because so few libraries in the world can afford to a subscription to RDA, let alone the high cost of things like Cataloger's Desktop or Classification Plus. These the you know these cataloging tools that are available only under license and subscription. And in my not so humble opinion, RDA has kind of gone way, 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 way into the realm of complex. And your average person who's been handed cataloging collateral work, who maybe they're a solo library worker, to try to understand RDA and craft a cataloging record is a lot to ask. So the open cataloging rules are an attempt to create cataloging rules that are understandable, that are applicable, that can be used by anybody to create some really good cataloging records. Yes, yes, Christa in the chat. Um, been a cataloger for years and barely understands RDA. I mean, yeah, I have kind of a grasp on RDA, let alone navigating the toolkit. those are two steep learning curves. Trying to navigate RDA 2.0 in their online interface is a huge challenge, let alone once you've actually found a rule and try to understand what it means, let alone its applicability, let alone navigate the interface to try to find some, you know, interpretation for how it's applied, say at the Library of Congress or the National Library of Canada or anywhere else. Huge and complex. Uh, Thank you, Angela, in the chat. A joke that RDA means you get to do what you want, just make it up as you go. I know, right?
It's possible
So,
that someone here has not heard me say. I once talked to Marshall Breeding, asked him about RDA and whether it was worth time and effort to learn it. And he said by the time it was in general use, I'd either be retired or dead.
I know. So, so I think if do check out the Open Rules for Cataloging work. I think it's a wonderful initiative. I think it has a lot of promise. And I think it can be for cataloging rules what open source software is it in its best form, by for of the community. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring to the group or anything more to say on cataloging rules? I'll just like coasting into the end of a semester and looking forward to summer.
We don't exactly get a summer break. We have the old residents graduating and the new residents coming in, and they kind of overlap.
Does anybody have anything they've discovered and they like in the newer version of Koha or any bugs that are challenges? Yes, summer reading is a thing that's gearing up and happening.
Yeah, my COA challenge was to read an actual printed anything, magazine, book, something like that for a few hours a week.
Analog.
I have a random curiosity question. Does anybody know if it's possible to prepend or append data using mark modification templates? I'm not seeing that option in the rules. No.
Don't know for sure. I've never used them, but I would think that they would do that.
So there's an action called update existing or add new, which makes me think that it's going to replace all the data that's in the field. I haven't tested it yet. I ran into this situation where a bunch of our Blu-rays are missing an edition statement, but they have other stuff in the edition in the 250, so I wanted to just append Blu-ray to it. Which I know I can do with MarkEdit, but my MarkEdit pull is okay, but my MarkEdit push won't go back into Koha because it's erroring out. So
You
Yeah,
may be able to do something with regex because you can incorporate regex in the mark modification template, but I've never attempted it, so I can't really advise without testing it myself either.
okay.
I would post to the koha-US cataloging group, our little cataloging group, because that could get the attention of Anne Ryan, who is a real whiz at mark modification templates. She's in New Zealand and she knows so much about them. Another thing I would think of if you're having problems with your mark edit push into Koha, could you just save the batch and then import the batch too? A couple of options.
Yeah, I can probably like do a stage and import and overlay. That's just a lot more steps than pushing the button and it updates the record.
Right.
I was actually going to ask if anybody used to be able to push into Koha from MarkEdit and no longer can. Is it something just like across the board that changed?
I I want to say that it stopped working when all the CSRF stuff came in, the security stuff.
Mm.
And I think I've discussed it other places. I think it's on MarkEdit's and like there's something that needs changed on that side of things to get it to
Oh,
work again. Um, it's
bummer.
some sort of like XML permissions error when you try to push. But it was great when it worked, and hopefully someday it'll
Yeah.
work again.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something to bring to the attention of Terry Reese, maybe on Market et al., because he probably never sleeps and he's so responsive. I haven't tried it yet. I want to get MarkEdit onto my personal laptop, and I think the koha-US demonstration instance is gonna now be my main place where I play with Koha, so I haven't played with it yet. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring to the group?
I
Sort
am,
of. Oh, go
I
ahead.
I was gonna say, sorry, I've been working with a partner uh for Bywater that is transitioning, and it's a complicated project, but they have centralized cataloging where each of the libraries um buy their own materials. The materials get shipped to their individual libraries, so the centralized cataloging doesn't always see the materials when they go to catalog. And so I'm curious of your libraries that are like that, how you handle that. I think they would be interested in hearing your response on that.
My system does that. And the way that we have our Koha set up is that the majority of the libraries use just the FastAdd framework. And we have it set up so that they're either bringing in records from Z3950. They'll search, we use BTCat. So they'll have the items in hand and we train them to search in BTCat to find a record that matches. And then they bring it into Koha using Z3950. And we made a local 950 field that we call the cat code. And it's an authorized value field where they just choose from a dropdown to indicate to us at the main office that something needs cataloging. And it indicates, is there a record in BTCat? Is there a record in somewhere else that isn't BTCat, like Library of Congress? Or is there no record at all out there and this needs original cataloging? So we kind of triage it through that cat code. And then they're only allowed to use the FastAdd framework. No one has, well, not no one, but the large majority only have permissions to edit FastAdd catalog framework records, not bib editing permission. And so at my office, the workflow is we pull records based on those cat codes. So we know they have the item in hand and they have determined they've already done an initial search. And then anything that has a record in BTCat, we do just a batch search find it in BTCat, run our macros to do local edits, and then bring them back into Koha. Then for anything that doesn't have a BTCat, we kind of have to look at those one by one to see if we need to create a BTCat record from or by cloning LC or San Diego or something like that. And then we create a BTCat record and bring it in. And if it's original, like fully original, we either have them send the item to the office or we schedule a day where we'll go out and just do original cataloging in their library. Our, you know, we're at Rhode Island, we're like less than 30 to 40 minutes from any library, so we can just go out to any single one. I know other consortia are vast, but you can get from top to bottom of our state in less than an hour. So, so we're still working out the kinks of the original stuff, because it does, if they're sending something to us for original cataloging, it takes time from the delivery, and then it kind of sits here until we get to it, and then it takes time to go back to them. So it's really out of the hands of the patrons for quite a while. So we try to encourage them to put them on the shelves for like 3 months, and maybe another record will get created, like Library of Congress will get it at some point, to try to make sure that we're not keeping it away from patrons for that long. But really the majority of stuff is just copy cataloging. The original stuff is mostly local authors, and then like, you know, city and town registers, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it works pretty well to have them bring in a record from Z3950 and just mark it as, hey, we've looked at this and this is the record to bring in from BTCat.
Can I ask, so the member libraries mark something when they've received it. Do you run daily reports or weekly reports to find those records?
When we are caught up, we usually pull a month at a time. Right now, we last pulled a bunch from February, and we have a huge backlog from our migration. When we first migrated to Koha, there was like 6 months where we couldn't get cataloging to work, so we just didn't overlay anything. So we're still like cleaning that up. But once we're kind of caught up on that, we'll do it. We pull it monthly. I know there's a library in Connecticut that has a similar system, and they are so caught up that they are pulling records created yesterday to catalog today. So I think it just depends on how many records are being created and how many people are actually doing the central cataloging. We definitely cannot keep up with, there's just 2 of us, and we have 50 libraries that create about 200 records a day total. So we definitely cannot keep up with like stuff. We definitely don't even look at stuff created in the last week when we're caught up. Just, we're never, being caught up is still not that caught up. It's just within a month.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I worked at a library a while ago that had this system they called front log as opposed to backlog. And when items came in that were really in demand but were difficult to catalog, they would just create just a simple author title brief record, label it as front log, and just get them out there with the idea that people that wanted these items right away knew about them and were going to be looking for them by author and title. And it did. It got the items out, they were used, and then when the usage calmed down, then the catalogers would grab them, fully catalog them, fully process them, fix them up, and get them out there.
I like that name, front log.
Right?
Miranda, could you also talk about how you avoid duplicates? Because, you know, those popular works, all of your member libraries are going to ask for a copy. And so how do you avoid those duplicate FAST add records?
So we train our library staff who are creating those records to search by ISBN first, and that cuts out a lot of duplicates, because we find the most times that we get duplicates are when somebody just searches by title, and or well, no, that's reversed. The duplicates come when they search by ISBN, but say the hardcover's in the system and the paperback is not, and they have the paperback. So we tell them search by ISBN first, because if your item is in here, that's the quickest way to get to it. But then search by title, author, keyword, something to just make sure that there isn't already a record. And if they do find a record where their ISBN just wasn't in it, then we have reports that they can, or a web form they can submit to us to say, hey, I'm attaching to this, but it's missing my ISBN. Can you add it? So then that next person who scans that paperback attaches to that. We do a lot of vendor loads. So the libraries place their orders with whatever vendor, get the brief MARC records and send them to us to load. And the way we have our matching rules set up, that actually finds a lot of duplicates for us. So if two people added the same thing but didn't check to make sure that there wasn't already a record, a lot of times it will show up with our matching rules. In that, it'll match on two different things. But I wish that there was a way for when somebody was adding it, it would say like, hey, this is already in here. That happens sometimes, but clearly not enough, because we do still have duplicates. So it seems like maybe if the record is like an exact match, I'm not totally sure what the duplicate duplicate check is for, what it's actually looking at in Koha. But sometimes I have seen it say, hey, this is already here. Do you want to just attach to that? But not enough that it eliminates duplicates. So really it's, from our end, as just kind of a training thing. We really try to train them to look Koha top to bottom before adding a new record. And then also, if they did skip the Koha part searching, in BTCat, if something has been cataloged from BTCat, we save a copy of every record that we've extracted. And so when somebody goes and searches in BTCat, if it pops up showing that there is already an Ocean State Library's copy, then go check Koha again, because the record is already there. So we kind of fall back on these little checks, but mostly it's just trying to train them up front, do really good due diligence before creating a new record.
One thing that's helped us with that is we're way loosey-goosier than you guys. So all of our we're not centralized. All of our libraries catalog their own stuff, and it's mostly copy cataloging. But Bob tipped me off, and I think maybe George tipped him off, that like if you add yourself as a Z target, then it can pop up and like show you in the Z3950 results that that's already in the your own catalog. So then I just added a big red flashy warning that says, hey, we're in these search results, you better double check and make sure you really want to bring that in. So that's helped us quite a bit.
That's good, yeah.
Does anyone have any sort of regular processes they do to try to identify duplicate records? I know there are some really neat reports sort of under quality control on the wiki.
I made the mistake of trying to write a report that was matched on title, author, and item type. But we have just under 1 billion bibs in our system, and there are a lot of things with the same title and author and item type, like a children's book, like Beverly Cleary books or Judy Blume books that have been reprinted 1 billion times with different illustrators. We have them all on their separate records. So yeah, that I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to find duplicates, and then we can avoid having people report them to us. But no, it just made it worse. And I've done the duplicate is-bin check, but we have like a ton of kits where the is-bin for the book is in a kit and the book, so that also was too difficult. So I would be super excited if anybody had another way that they were checking.
Well, you could fall back on Heather's rule. It really doesn't matter all that much.
We've sort of fallen in, just leaned into that a lot because of Aspen grouping. So if there's duplicate records, the main thing that we don't like duplicate records for is if it is something popular and patrons' holds are getting split across it. And also we have patrons who will just place a hold on every single version of something, hoping to get it in whatever format comes the quickest. And so now if we have two different records for the same book, they're placed on holds for both of them. But so like the holds situation is kind of the biggest deal, but with Aspen, everything gets grouped together. So that is less of an issue. Like when we were on Sierra, if we had two different records, they just were two different records and a patron might not see one versus the other. So Aspen has helped with that a lot.
So does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring to the group on cataloging workflows, duplicate records?
Well, sort of. But it's more of a specialized use of koha that will make a real cataloger clutch her pearls. I don't have that picture handy. Sorry, Heather. Which is the I'm not sure where to begin with this. Okay, our Nursing Research Council at the hospital has a lot of different process improvement projects, quality improvement that they want to track and make available. So I've been sort of pushing at the boundaries of koha to make their projects MARC compatible the way I do with Medline records. And now we just got a visit from the people who are in charge of deciding whether we have magnet designation, which is significant in the hospital field. So that's going to kick into high gear. So I'm probably going to be asking an awful lot of questions, including some I asked a few weeks ago or maybe a few months ago, and I either forgot or I can't find. So,
Oh, I got this thing to work. Do you want me to show it off?
Yes.
please
Okay.
do.
All right. Okay, so here's an example of one of my Blu-ray records that doesn't have Blu-ray in the edition statement. The trick was to use a copy and replace rule because that gives you the regex options. So I just tried this and it worked. So what it's doing is copying what's already in the 250A to the 250A again. And then this is saying prepinned. This is saying what I want it to prepend. And then the I means something. I forget because I don't know regex that well. It's like do it once or do it all over or something like that. So then when I ran that bib through this rule, my append test rule, and I look at the mark preview, I can see that put that in front of the special edition. So works. And that's what I need. And I don't have to use Mark Edit. I can use Koha. So thanks. I know Esther's not here anymore, but thanks for sharing that tip about regex, Esther.
Well done, and extra points for doing it while you're doing other things and in the meeting. Anything anyone else would like to bring to the group? Nice comment in the chat from John. Playing around while we were talking, noticed that the regex checkbox is kind of fussy, but once got it to appear was available for all record actions. Well, anyone else have anything they'd like to bring to the group?
I'm just too overwhelmed by conference fatigue.
It is a really busy time of the year.
Fun, but really tiring.
Yes. Well, and a shorter meeting is always an option. We have our cataloging Google group. There's the Mattermost chat for the Koha community at large. I'm going to put the URL in the chat. Oops, I think I sent it to someone just directly. Let me copy and paste that to everyone. There we go. And of course, you can always email me and I'll bring things up at the meeting. Putting my email address in the chat.
Can I ask a non-cataloging related question?
Always, because everything is actually related to cataloging somehow. Go for it.
I guess it could. I'm having difficulty accessing the Koha community website. Some of it is IT with, I think, overzealous security software. I was just curious if anyone else has experienced this, if you had any resolutions you could recommend. It's interesting because the wiki is not blocked, but the Koha manual is blocked. Mattermost is blocked. And it's not a nice blocked message. It's a cannot connect securely message. So I can't ask people if they're having this problem because I can't connect to the place where we talk to people. So, and if nobody has any answers, that's fine too.
Well, my answer isn't very helpful. I can't use Z3950 at work because same thing, ports are blocked. Anything with Z3950, I just do at home. Fortunately, I work from home 2 days a week.
Yeah, reading the Koha manual on your phone is not the most wonderful experience.
No. I'm on an iPhone 7 at the moment, but I have a nice big monitor at home.
You know, I'm making a note of that because one of the things I want to do volunteering is helping with documentation. So I'm making a note about the Koha manual on mobile. I do know that there are mobile clients for Mattermost. And
Yeah,
desktop clients.
there's also a desktop client. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
And this was not so much a criticism of how it renders, more just the statement that I'm in my flow and I want to look up some particular thing and then I gotta go get up my phone and start, doing that. So anyway, I don't want to keep taking on any more time. I was just curious if anyone else had experienced that. It sounds like I'm the only one.
Do you
No,
have a
I mean,
public network?
I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna say, occasionally I get blocked from community resources. Like I couldn't get to Bugzilla for a long time, and that was when they were fighting bots. So it could be that it's not on your end; it's in the blacklist somewhere on the domain or something. I don't know, but I still think like the getting into the Mattermost and telling someone or asking someone, letting them know that you're having trouble accessing it might help. Sorry, Fred, I didn't mean to talk over you.
Oh,
Quite
no,
all right.
that's fine. I don't know
Uh,
who you're talking over, but it's hard to assume sometimes.
Well, what I'm going to say is also probably not going to be very helpful, like my previous comment. But where I am in a hospital, we have the sort of wired Ethernet network, but we also have network for guests and visitors, patients, which does not have the same restrictions. So I just got an old computer and set up Ubuntu and a wireless dongle. Is that an option where you are?
Probably not. I'll just keep
Yeah.
working with my IT. So but thank you all for the options.
I know also that the manual is hosted. Let's see, I don't have my notes with me here. I'm still transitioning all the stuff, but the manual is hosted on let's say GitLab. Okay, good. Jason's nodding. Maybe logging in to that via a web browser is an option to look at it that way. I know it won't be as pretty. There's also a way to look at the manual if you're in Koha and you click help wherever you are, it loads manual sections. Oh, good. Thank you, Jason. There's the link to the GitLab for where the manual lives.
Yeah, the GitLab is a good one. Unfortunately, the help in Koha actually goes to koha-community.org, which is
Oh,
so yeah. I was thinking maybe it was a local one that shipped with Koha, but it's not.
How easy would it be to download the entire manual and put your own sort of local
I
wiki?
could probably do that pretty easy with wget, just pull the whole thing in. But yeah, I would like to be able to act because I can't get to Bugzilla either, which is something I want to do. So it's I need to fix it on the routing side. So, but yeah, thank you.
does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring to the group?
Oh, wait, I have something. If you have money burning a hole in your pocket, consider funding this development about adding mark indicators to the mark modification templates. koha-US is supporting it with like half. But we need more money to get it going.
We're getting hearts. Indicators matter. Tell your reference staff if they want that list sorted by title correctly, it's indicators.
I think my spare money is going to a new dryer.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to bring to the group? Any developments that are favorites? Bugs? Things that you think might not be cataloging related, but we can find a way to make it cataloging related.
Random question that I don't know if somebody has ideas. I have over 250,000 items that I have to move from one shelving location to another. Anybody, I would rather not do them like 500 at a time. Does anybody have any ideas on how to do them all faster?
With that many items, Angela, you can submit a ticket to your Bywater and have our data team help you.
I was thinking about doing that. The problem is none of them have barcodes, so I have to do it by item number. But I think I might just do that because
Oops,
I don't
and my
have.
phone just went into low power mode, so I think I'm going to have to leave. So thank you all. See you later. How do I get out of this on an iPhone?
Yeah, we just combined a huge collection of 700,000 items together. We have a lot of items. We have over 2 million. So we just moved a bunch together and I need to update them all now. And I just pulled a list the other day and cried. So I just, yeah, I think I'll get Bywater involved. Thanks.
Heather, could you kick me out of the meeting? I
Sure,
don't think I can.
I think I can. I'll try. Bye.
Bye.
I was just looking at record overlay rule bugs. I don't know if I see one for indicators. There might be one. I'll look some more. But yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a question in the chat. Does anyone know if there's a bug to get record overlay rules to look at indicators too? Ooh. I don't think I've seen that, but that's pretty fantastic.
I haven't, I just did a search and I don't see it. So Miranda, please create one. That would be amazing.
And if you've never created a bug, don't be afraid to do it. You really can't make a mistake. The Koha people will see it, they'll add to it, they'll fix it, and feel free to put me on the CC list for that because I want to be aware of and support that bug.
This is the bug that I've been looking at in regards to record overlay rules and Z3950 overlay in the advanced editor. It does not work, does not protect. And so that's causing a little heart pain for some catalogers who would like to be able to overlay and still protect the 942C. So anyway, if you're not aware of that one.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's bug 34190. So we have a few minutes left. If anybody else would like to bring anything. Well, I think I'll go ahead and end the recording.